So what I'm going to do this week is explain why I haven't put a video for a week or 2 weeks if you're not counting this one, kind of get into that, finish off what we did in the end of phase 1, so that kind of rounds up that series, and get into what has happened on phase 2, and also dive into some of the drama around Ashes, Steven, Pirate Software, all the other content creators. Now I never normally make videos like this, but at the end of the day, when I started following Ashes, I said I would always give my accurate and honest opinion and just say how it is, regardless of my standing in the community or how it would maybe affect me, you know, from the point of Intrepid or content creation for them or anything like that. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. But without rambling on anymore, I'm just going to jump right into it and get amongst all the latest information and what has happened recently. So to start with, if you haven't been watching the phase 1 Alpha 2 series, start watching that from episode 1 and follow the journey through and what we did. We really did awesome on phase 1. We were hands down the best guild on our server. We pushed most server first. We were the most dominant at PvP, except with the likes of maybe Havoc at the beginning, but they kind of fell off short, and then Standby was pretty decent. A lot of PvP with them and a lot of fun. Obviously Soldiers were there at the beginning when we were kind of beefing with them, but then they left the server. But we all reached level 25. We all went to Carfin and Steel Bloom to farm the best in slot gear we could get at the time. We did Firebrand, Tumok and Kumok, had wars with Standby and Havoc on a daily basis. It was PvP 24/7 for all the time the servers were up, because obviously war scrolls were broke, which I actually made separate videos for both. So if you want to check that out, you can check the Firebrand and you can check the PvP ones and the Kumok, Tumok, all these type of videos. Go on the channel, you'll be able to look them up. After that, we organised the citizens and we started organising with the other mayors of the server to kind of get a server that was functional, was good for PvP, but worked and was low drama. And not only that, during that time, we won 3 elections. I won the first one, then I won the second one, and near the tail end, I actually forgot to pay my taxes because I was moving for 2 weeks and I was doing crazy work, so it was kind of hectic, and then I had to get voted in again. So it was a bit crazy, but yeah, we absolutely smashed it. Dabble with the crafting that was on phase 1, but it was kind of a bit lacking in areas, so there was not much we could do, and we ended phase 1 strong. It had been one hell of an experience, one hell of a testing. We pretty much smashed every single goal except for the guild, and we went way further, which was brilliant to see. And as I say, if you want to check out any of this content, go back to my channel, start the series from episode 1, follow it through, check out Firebrand and the PvP footage montage and kind of see what was going on there. And there was a lot more PvP they haven't had in there, but that just shows our experience. And honestly, I can say it was a brilliant experience. It was really enjoyable, and I have no faults in it. I think it was really well done. So how did phase 1 differ from phase 2? We went in with the same goals and we actually increased what we wanted to achieve. So first was get the guild going before anyone else on the server. Get the Jova node, which is where we headed once we hit level 10. Now unfortunately, we didn't know at the time, but we happened to pick one of the most competitive voting nodes on all of Lotharia. So every guild had to go, a U guild I should say, had to go pretty much to the Lotharia server. So the competition was so high, it was ridiculous. We went for the Jova node, and I think they got 167 votes. We got about 150 somewhere, all in with all the guys who had voted. So we were really close to taking Jova. Now when we looked at all the other votes on the server, they were nowhere near on the same level. There was 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of the push guilds that were close. There was more like 2, and the rest didn't even get anywhere close to that. So we just happened to pick the only node that we couldn't have took by about 10 votes. So it was kind of good to see that we had really smashed it again on votes and worked well with our alliances and just the guild in general. But it was a bit shit to know that we just happened to pick the wrong node, and that was because we took Jova last time and fancied it again. So we were a bit disgruntled, not really sure what we needed to do at this point, and I had to kind of think on my feet and decide what the future for us on Lotharia was going to be. At that point, I went a bit quiet, I took a step back, and I had to think about what we were going to do, and that's kind of normally what I always do. So we reworked the plan and decided, right, the nodes are gone, the desert nodes aren't gone, they are going to be a grind, but maybe it's nice to check them out and do something different. So we went over to the desert node, and we had the fastest leveling desert node on the server, even though it was horrible to level. Now, we picked Aethernar, which has no points of interest, and at the time in comparison to the other desert nodes, it had no real mobs to grind. It was an absolute shit show. It was basically a total waste of time to be down there. There was literally no content to be had. It was pretty dreadful, and I do not think they should have even put in the game. Now, Narc did address this, but Narc got absolutely crucified. Not because he was wrong in some of the stuff he was addressing, but he incorrectly said some things, and he was annoyed at Steven. So I totally get what he was trying trying to say, but when Stephen and him were having this beef, it wasn't really motivating to play the game when you're seeing this type of drama and toxicity on a daily basis. So he was valid in what he said, and our experience there was abysmal. Now, even though we were pushing the levels, we were trying to get other people who said they were going to help on the server and whatnot, but it was just our guild and some alliance members. We spent so much time leveling up and we got it there. We actually found a spot on top of the mountain which we could rotate and farm golems, and as the node leveled, so did the golem. But eventually it was stuck like the other nodes, so eventually Stephen came on, leveled up the nodes after our guild repeatedly tagged him to level the nodes in the desert. Now, if our guild wasn't spam tagging Stephen and trying to shoot out messages, I don't know if this would have happened as fast, but we went out of our way to try and do something. Now you ask, why did we not just grind it out to the end and just get it there? Well, we couldn't literally do that because there was no point of interest in our node or the desert to actually level the nodes correctly. Not just that, half of the stuff was invisible or floating, and none of the benches that were supposed to be there were even there. But regardless, we still got the 8th in our mayorship and we got a decent amount of votes, even though really nobody wanted to come down there. We worked on the buy orders straight away, and obviously we got all our guys to level 25, started gearing and really progressing, and we kept trying to work with folk, but no one really wanted to come down because it was a bit, I'll be honest, it was pointless. Why would you? And then after a bit of time grinding, falling behind on some of the other experience and testing in the game, because literally it was every single day we had to grind all day every day, and all we did was grind for the node for other people to use. It wasn't really benefiting us. It was really limiting our guild and slowing our progression this time around, and it was just quite tedious, and we done it for the sake of testing, but then when we seen all the other nodes getting these benefits and kind of just getting citizenships without even working on it, because if you're in Middle Earth or Winstead and Jova, you're just going to get citizens because of the points of interest and the areas and the things going on, whereas the desert just was an absolute utter waste of time. So what we decided to do, rather than just keep working on this, we wanted to actually get better gear and test the game and do some more enjoyable stuff. So I decided with the guild we'd drop mayorship. Now, after we reached level 25 and we'd got gear, there was really nothing more apart from the new dungeon to do. And we knew coming into the end of the month we'd get more content, but before, obviously Stephen stated now, we thought we'd get some dungeons, some points of interest in the desert, a lot of content. Now, looking in retrospect, it's probably a bad thing to think that way. It is an Alpha 2 test, and I think we maybe treated it a bit more like it was game content, and so have multiple other guilds. Because we went so hard in Phase 1, when it came to actually playing Phase 2, we'd pretty much knocked out all the content because they'd left the servers up for 2 weeks. I understand they wanted us to play and they wanted to give us that Christmas present and give staff time off. I think they should have probably taken the service down and came back up after Christmas. Now, during that time, we all seen how many guilds exploited. They cheesed, they exploited, no doubt they duped, and many other things along the way. We have literally firsthand seen people cheating. A lot of these guilds that are saying they didn't cheat and didn't do anything ruined the testing experience for everything while walking around propaganda, acting like the best guilds going and the most legit guilds. And in my honest opinion, I feel like about 85% of the guilds that were testing this were all exploiting at some point. That is how bad it was. It was unbelievable to see people going behind walls, dragging mobs in so they hit the mesh, killing them, using the glitched area where certain mobs would infinitely spawn and just running a script or clicking an attack. And I get it, and it happened in Phase 1, and there was the NPC and things like that, and everyone kind of used that, but to the scale of sheer cheating, cheesing, exploiting, unintended game mechanics, whatever you want to call it, it absolutely destroyed the atmosphere. The amount of people that tried to give feedback that were attacked for even giving feedback, for daring to say anything about Ashes, it was so disgruntling. It was so shit to see. Now, all in all, my experience in Phase 2 was really lackluster, but I can tell people my honest opinion is Alpha 2 will be at least 2 to 3 years. The game has extreme promise, and I am supporting this. I'm in a channel and a Discord and all these other things around Ashes, so long term I believe it will do great. It'll have a lot of content, but I think the problem is people are testing it like it's finished and it's about to come out of Beta 2. That's not the case. Now, our guys now as a guild, what we decided to do is, yeah, we take a step back, we're going to do some of the PvE leveling, we'll keep our characters at level 25, we'll farm out some gear, and then when Stephen drops new content, we'll come on and test it. But we can't be testing it 5 or 6 days a week every day. And that's why I think the problems have risen. People, because of listening and seeing the streams, have thought there's enough content there to play 5-6 days a week, all day, all the time, and everyone's had these high expectations and it's plummeted. Now, I don't personally think that's all on Stephen and Intrepid. I think that's guild leaders, I think that's guild members for definite, and a bunch of other kind of content creators around this. So I think for everyone, you need to kind of, if you're struggling or getting unmotivated, except this is a test. Now, I know that seems like a bit of an annoying, aggravated video, but that's just my honest opinion. I will support the game, I will keep testing, my guild will keep testing, but I will not put 5 or 6 days of my life into this game and the guild, and if people don't like that, that is on them, because we are all max level, we have pushed our professions and we still will, and we are doing the stuff we can in the game. And also, it's quite disgruntling for me right now knowing that I can barely PvP because the action combat and the fight on my character and multiple others isn't even working. So there's a few things that annoy me this time around. I know many of my other guild members are quite disgruntled, are not really feeling it, and that's why we have other rosters on the go. But it's also why when I built this community, I said Ashes will be one of our primary rosters, not the only primary roster, because to put everything into a game and let your community die is stupid. And that's not a dig at Ashes, but you need longevity for your community, you need to stem out, you need to do other things, and that's probably the best thing. Going forward, what I'm going to do is periodically we'll be jumping on during phase 2 to test the content, and I will have other videos sharing my experience in phase 2 a bit more in depth, like the mounts and other things. But this was just to kind of round up to know that I'm not stopping the game, I'm not quitting Ashes forever, I'm not running away and saying like, nah, I'll never play, it's done. I'm not saying that, I'm just being more realistic with my options and what we do as a community going forward. That's my opinion. You guys can have your own opinion. Did expect this because it is a testing phase, but regardless of that, we will probably see a good game at the end. I think there's some improvements, and I will probably make a full video of a list of things I believe Intrepid need to do. Now, I really do look forward to seeing where Ashes goes. I understand it's not in the best state now with testing, but I also hope Stephen can just be a little bit more transparent and accurate with the dates he's given. He keeps saying this is testing and things can change, and we do understand that. We're not all imbeciles, but when he words it, Alpha 2 is going to be a year, and he repeatedly says this, then he says come back in 2 years with no kind of reference to what that means. Is that 2 year for beta 1? Is it 2 year for the game? And then he says 3 or 4 year 10 seconds later. I think it is hard for people to follow and understand what's going on. You can clearly see from the latest patches and what they plan to do in phase 2, they are falling short, which is absolutely fine, but I just think Stephen and Intrepid said, you know what, things aren't going as fast as we expected, the UE5 changeover, the fact that we still a company that's growing and learning, it will take us a bit longer, just bear with us. But I think when they don't do that, that's the issue. Now, if they do ban even more, that's cool, but we did see the bans. I personally know there was a lot more than that exploiting. Now, I have seen Margaret's tweet, and I do understand that more are coming, and I think this is a good thing, but still, the content is the issue at the test. But we're here to test Alpha 2, I'm sure we will long term, and I would just pace yourself for a long testing period, kind of keep yourself grounded, don't overhype, and know this is what it's going to be about. At the end, we're all here to try and create an MMO, and a really good MMO at that, and, you know, help with feedback, but it is not a short process, so do have this on the back burner on the sidelines, jump in and go hard for content and test the stuff that needed, fill in the forms and feedback, and just generally kind of support the growth of this game. I won't do many more negative videos. As you can see, I went quiet during all this drama. I'm really not about it. I have a lot more footage and a lot more things that could stir up a massive shit stir pot, but I'm not about that, and I kind of just ignore it unless, you know, someone comes our way about the guild. But keep watching. Got a lot more content coming on Ashes, a lot of stuff to cover there. It's going to be a long experience, but we will keep cracking on. There's some other games that I will be covering. ASA's one, I've got a good series coming up in that, and also June Awakening is launching this year, so I will keep expanding, but I will not solely just be doing Ashes content, and I never said I would just be. But yeah, there's still a lot more content coming, guides and other things. As always, I really do appreciate you watching, supporting the channel, dropping comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.